It's this trying to open up the door to conversation, to be able to speak about things that really matter in life that you can't do on the fly in seconds. It's to make an impact. I want to speak in a global language, and visual communication is so easy to do a global language. I want it to be that personal message that's honest about the human condition and just the trials that we go through. The whole simplistic, boiled down, no offense to Bible bookstore art, it has its moment, but I want things real in our world. So I tend to work with things that are, real, things that we've really encountered because God's real. By taking the salt shaker and putting a light housing on it, the metaphor became so strong of salt and light. And I had just done a whole series with bread and wine and a bunch of installations with that. And when working with this one installation piece, this sounds really rather disrespectful, but it's really about the law and grace and just the binding, damning thing of the law that we can't save ourselves. There's nothing we can do via the law. So I put a Bible in a toaster. It's a black toaster and a black Bible that's, the Bible with helps, which really cracks me up because how can we even help ourselves when it's a Bible with helps? And it's next to our dining room table salt shaker with a halogen lamp. And that really stuck with me. And I had just finished doing a piece of 70,000 communion cups. And it was communion cups from Easter all the way through the following year to Yom Kippur. So it's a year and a half. So that Easter and Day Atonement thing and collecting in multiples kept on playing in my head for how I could speak about salt and light in a greater manner. And the old biblical 99, almost there, but the one's missing. And I tend to play with a lot of ones missing because I love that idea of continuation of thought and relationship because there's never a stop to things. So it happened with, those things coming together built this, and I just knew I had to do 99 salt shakers in a sea of salt. Each salt shaker is completely and totally unique, and they're beaten up and they're used. This one's all broken and eroded and corroded. They've had a life, and this one's cracked. And so it's about how each of us are contained at different levels with salt. And so there's a design element there, and the fact that, some people have less salt in them than others. Other ones are just full to the gear and now they can't shake anymore. So there's all those different metaphors that each one becomes a person in my head. Each one's really had a life, and they're authentically served in the way that they could for a certain amount of period. Some of them had a really long life in serving, and other ones, it was just a couple days. But they're worn, they're busted, and because my health is so very minimal, that whole idea of how God can use us, no matter what shape this tent is, we're all salt shakers. And it's that light infused out that we have no contact with. I mean, the light is totally independent from the salt shaker. And it's in its own housing. And it's there, 100% for each one of these. And so the light's consistent, but the salt shakers vacillate. And the type of salt that both is inside them and around them vacillates. The kosher salt really matters. Because it's kosher. And also the texture and the way the light goes through it. The kosher makes this wonderful luminous whereas table salt doesn't. Plain old table salt doesn't work as well for illuminating the light. And at times you'll get like little rainbow effects in them, which is really rather cool. But the rock salt then is what they sit in a bed of, and that vacillates as an ocean. And so that right in the corner where you are, someone far from harbor, may you guide across the bar, and it all becomes this little ocean of lighthouses at the same time. There's always so much more to it than just 99 salt shakers. The salt goes up to the housing, so you don't see any of the works underneath. So they're all hidden. And I think so much of that is our spiritual life too, and how we work as community. So there's a lot of community statement going here, so that, you know, they're randomly done, and none of them really relate, except for a few of them, like these two are next to each other. And I know it's very much mother and child type of thing, but for the most part, you know, they're just each next to somebody so different. You know, it's the whole scripture of how can the toe tell the rest of the body that they're not significant. And so, you know, everything is in total and complete randomness. Lights are situated so that you just see the sea of them, but you don't see a linear line connecting. The relationships are more in the sense of lots of variety. You know, I didn't put two tenors next to each other because I want the choir to really listen to each other and let the harmony just really come out.